Om Namo Narayana. Welcome to Sadhana, your ultimate gateway to Hinduism. I am your host, Alisha Gaya Prasad. In our lineup today, we visit Northern KZN and learn about the Thirukkotam and Shree Ganaser temple in Ladysmith, as well as the Ramakrishna Centre of South Africa, Newcastle Sub Centre. Sadhana was also privileged to witness the inauguration of the Sannyasa Council of South Africa, a milestone in the history of Hinduism in South Africa. We exit the show with an exclusive insight into multifaceted radio personality and Telegu singer Vijayaluxmi Balakrishna. In the early 1880s, a small Hindu temple constructed of wood and iron in Ladysmith's old railway barracks was used for daily worship and observances. This grew into a formal building in 1910, situated in the town centre and served the community for over 90 years. Today, Ladysmith's Hindu Thirukkotam and Shree Ganaser temple is a large new institution, relocated to better serve the growing community. Sadhana paid a visit to unravel the temple's history and look at some activities undertaken in COVID times.
This temple has been opened from the 9th July 2006. All granite deities were brought into the country and were seated. You'll see Mulastanas have got granite murtis. There's specialist people that go out to the mountains in search of the live granite. There's a stick they use and they keep moving. And as soon as the stick starts moving, they mark it, cut it, take it to the place where they carve it to the deities you want. And then after all the granite murtis were seated and consecrated, then the Kumbh Abhishekam had to be done. If you ask any devotee of Lord Ganesha and you ask why you pray to Lord Ganesha, they will say you, Lord Ganesha is the remover of all obstacles. And Lord Ganesha, you'll see, he has 2 big ears and 1 small mouth, which signifies that you must do more listening and less talking.
Om Dat Purushaya Vidmahi Ekadantaya Dhimahi Tanno Dandi Prachodayat.
If you look at the aerial view of this temple, you'll find that it's domed for each deity. Where you have Lord Shiva there, then Lord Ganesha, Lord Muruga, and then the Amman temple to the right. And on top of the dome, you'll find a copper calcium on each of them with a small hole, should I say. And that is for the divine energy from above to enter and drawn into the dome and eventually coming into the Mulastan. But the original temple was built at 113 Forbes Street, going back 6 November 1910. We also, as an organization, have embarked on server projects. Now, during the pandemic, a lot of people became very needy, and we are fortunate we had our members rallying for donations and so forth. And in conjunction with the Tamil Federation, we managed to raise a lot of hampers which we distributed to the needy. We also, on twice a month, we got cooking project, and we cook and we serve hot meals to all the needy people. Last year, tying up with our 110 years anniversary, the Youth Bursary Fund was also created, whereby if we find that there's any needy youth in our organization needs to further their studies, we will assist them. Last year, for the first time in the history of the organization, the Ganesha prayer was observed over 10 days and culminating into whereby there's about 15 members of our organization travel down to Westbrook Beach and immersing the Ganesha there. It was a very touching moment. So with the pandemic this year, we might not be doing it.
Welcome back to Sadhana. Known for its Vedanta philosophy and the oneness of existence, the Ramakrishna mission teaches us that God realization is the ultimate goal of life. As Shree Ramakrishna states, as long as I live, so long do I learn. And it is with this determination that we learn today about the work of the Ramakrishna Centre of South Africa in the scenic, peaceful, historic city of Newcastle.
Presently, our policy on most of our organizations is that we are concentrating on humanitarian work. We're doing mostly humanitarian work right now. All our activities are based on that. Everything circles around what we do here. My activities that I can just give you as a sum up of what I do. In terms of the organization is presently on lockdown. No activities are taking place in our shrines, but daily we have devotees coming and lighting the lamp and doing a bit of sadhana. All festivals are celebrated in our shrines, but with no congregation. So individually devotees come in, light the lamp, do a bit of sadhana, do some bhajan, kirtan singing on their own, and they leave. We can quote a letter that Swami Vivekananda wrote in the plague of 1896 in India. And that plague letter that he wrote pertains to exactly the COVID that we are experiencing right now. He explained the principles of how we should behave during these times and what kind of practices that we should be implementing in our home. It's exactly the same principles that we are following in terms of COVID protocol. So I think that when one has to quote Swami Vivekananda, one should not be looking at him in a religious perspective. One should be looking at him as a way of life. Now, Swami Vivekananda's teachings are universal, and Swami Vivekananda's principles are not based only on Ramakrishna's teachings. He's a very universal. In India, it is a public holiday. So we feel blessed to have a murti on our premises, a portrayal to everybody that passes it. In Newcastle, we interact with all organizations. So we interact with all organizations fully, but one needs to also understand that when shrines are open and functional, we have our own activities taking place here. So sometimes it's not always possible. But interaction with other communities other organizations is absolutely necessary.
Thank you for staying tuned to Sadhana on S3. The Sannyasa Spiritual Council of South Africa was recently founded to unite all initiated sannyasis in South Africa in the spirit of Hindu unity, with the purpose of preserving, protecting and strengthening Dharma as members of the saffron cloth. In the true spirit of renunciation, it offers no preference or prejudice, only selfless guidance. Today's Sadhana brings to you the historic formation of the first Sannyasa Council of South Africa.
विश्वानि देव सवितर्धुरितानि परसुवं यद्भद्रं तन्न आसुवम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Dearest embodiments of peace and love, Om. The reason I'm saying Om and not Namaste, Vanakam, Namaskaram, Sairam is because we differentiate ourselves enough.
One of the primary functions of the Sannyasa Spiritual Council of South Africa is to restore unity amongst the various Hindu organizations in the country.
We are too few in number, and by focusing more on the challenges, by fighting with each other, we are breaking our humanity apart. We are breaking dharma apart. So enough of differentiation, enough of disunity. If we as sannyasis cannot come together and hold our hands for the sake of dharma, then what hope is there for a united dharma?
Om Achyutaya Bhomaya Swaha.
In the true spirit of unity, the Sannyasa Council was formed embracing Vedic traditions and South African culture.
It is my prayer today that this council will give leadership, it will inspire us spiritually in the community, it will promote the learning of our Vedic scriptures, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana and other such scriptures, and it will also promote service to humanity like what we are seeing here today. I also want to say that I feel very humbled before all the sannyasins here. Without exception, they are people themselves who throughout the course of their life dedicated themselves and worked tirelessly, and they have great accomplishments behind them. They are unsung heroes, but they have come forward today in all humility to stand together and to bring about the Spiritual Council, Sannyasins Council of South Africa. May God's blessings be upon all of us. Thank you.
Very aptly, Shosholoza means to push forward, to endeavor or strive, and was a fitting performance for the function.
We are not here to challenge any institution. We are not here to replace any institution. We are here as peacemakers, as unity makers, not as makers of pieces. We are here to work together for the sake of dharma. The papers that were signed by our revered sannyasis, the first is the simple constitution of the Sannyasa Spiritual Council of South Africa, and it's not any ordinary constitution. It's a constitution that reminds us that there is one dharma and we shall work toward that united dharma. When we come together, discuss together, our organizations and differentiations remain at the door.
Singing is one of the most simplest yet most powerful forms of music. Because the essence of singing is internal, it can be felt deeply and have a profound personal effect. Inspired by her father, the late Shree R. Balakrishna, Vijayalakshmi Balakrishna studied at Madras University, India, focusing on Indian culture, philosophy and Indian music. Today she is an acclaimed classical singer, well known for the bhavam that flows through her music. Join us as we follow up on her musical journey.
செந்தமிழ் சொல்லெடுத்து பாட வந்தோம் அம்மா பாட வந்தோம் அம்மா பாட வந்தோம் அருள்வாய் நீ இசை தரவாய் நீ இங்கு வருவாய் நீ நலம் தருவே நீ அம்மா மாணிக்க வீணையே என்றோம்.
I was born in a family of Hari Bhaktas. That's what they followed. And so my dad, the late R. Balakrishna, he was also a composer and he sang all these beautiful bhajanas, as well as my uncle Nanda Ramsamy, who was a priest. So I was brought up in this family where they worshipped Lord Sri Hari. So I guess that is where my love for devotional singing started. My dad certainly has been an inspiration in my life in terms of music, bringing music into my life. My uncle Nanda Ramsamy on the bhakti aspect and learning how to chant mantra and things like that. But also my mum. My mum used to be a singer as well. So I went from being a devotional singer, but I loved this Carnatic music, and we must bear in mind that I had no Carnatic music training before I had gone to India. It's just my love for it that made me go to India and learn Carnatic music. The love for music has always been there. So yeah, from then until now I am singing, and I very, very much love it. It's my passion, and I also have a great love for my Telegu language and Tamil as well, because I studied Tamil under the late Uncle Billy Naidu and Auntie Lily, and also Sanskrit. I studied Sanskrit at the Chinmaya Mission, and I studied Vedanta there for 2 years in a course. So I was very, very lucky that way that, by the Lord's grace, I have a love for language as well as love for music, because, they are intertwined. If you know your language, then you have exposure to all our religious texts, be it the Ramayana or our Upanishads, so it's really, really important for one to learn one's language. And also studying Sanskrit took me to a really totally different level, because here I was studying all these Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, and that the knowledge from there, the jnana from there, lent itself to my bhakti.
Jagadeka matavani papanuga kanu papanuga janula kapade shiva kamini nivani kapade shiva kamini.
Oh, as I said, going to India first, that was difficult because the language barrier there. But I caught it up quite fast. Well, my dad was a composer, and I have a flair for languages. So it interests me, I have a passion for it. So I quickly learned the language, and so that challenge was no more there. I tried to learn, and then also you're learning all these Telegu Kirtanas by Swami Tyagaraja or by Papanasim Sivan, and their use of Telugu and Tamil is at such a high standard, And so when you're singing these songs, you're learning at the same time how to use the language, So yeah, at the first that was the challenge. The other challenge was the food and getting sick and all of that. But I think once you have a passion and a love for whatever you are learning, in my case it was my art form, my dancing or my singing. Once you have a deep passion for something, no amount of pain is going to put you off. because you know why you're learning. Even if somebody insults you, you say, hey, no, I'm here in this ashram, or I'm here in India because I want to learn, I want knowledge. You've got to have such a thirst for this knowledge that every pain and challenge seems, just meager.
Yogi Hrudyanyagam Vande Vishnu Bhavavaya.
Stay grounded in your culture, because it gives us a deep sense of identity. And once you have the strong identity, nothing can shake you. But if you're unsure of your cultural identity, you're going to be shaken this way, that way. And we live in a society where we are plagued by drugs and alcohol, And when you are immersed in your cultural activities, whether it's your singing, your dancing, reading your Ramayana or your Gita, and your child is there, keep your children close to you, really, and show them how important their culture is to them. So, because they are also going to bloom forth into God's beautiful garden, and they're going to be inspiring some other people. So it starts with the parents, and it starts with, it's wonderful if you can get a guru, but online as well. But otherwise, you can do your own reading. So yes, my advice really to our people out there is be strong, feel strongly about your culture, be immersed in it, and that's where your sadhana can come forth.
Govinda Hari Govinda, Gopala Jaya Gopala, Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Govinda Govinda.
We trust that you enjoyed your time with us today. As we bring the show to a close, we remember the wise words of Swami Vivekananda. He said, "The greatest religion is to be true to your own nature. Have faith in yourselves." And so, from the Sadhana team, keep shining your beautiful divine light into the world. Vanakkam.